Welcome, everybody, to Warp Factor Fiction Live. This is a very special episode. If you guys are unfamiliar with what Warp Factor Fiction is, it is a show, it's a rewatch podcast. We do it in both video and audio formats. You can check it out on any podcast platform or on our YouTube channel. But it's not there until it's on Patreon first. That's right. If you join our Patreon, you get live exclusive, things like that, all towards Warp Factor Fiction, plus so much more. Go check it out. And everything is linked below. Of course, you can go check out old episodes on YouTube or in the podcast. I think we're up to episode 12 now, and that took place the second half of Discovery Season 2. I am your host on this journey, Captain Mick Manhattan, joined by my wonderful number one, Ensign Tommy. Welcome, Tommy. Thank you, and happy Star Trek Day, my friend.
Thank you for having me. Happy Star Trek Day.
I wanted to say, well, having you're a host. I have to have you. And plus, I love having you. So that works out. Tommy, I thought about something tonight. We've been doing the show for a while now. You've joined up a while ago, and you've really gotten into it. You've really enjoyed it. We've done what now? 3 shows we're on, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
And it's been such a good time doing this with you and just like hanging out and stuff like that, and being able to do a live now. You've never done this before. You're boldly going where you've never gone before. So I want to say thank you so much for joining in. And we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk some Trek. And we have some trivia in place and maybe a surprise or two. But I do have a surprise for you tonight. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And before we get started, I was thinking about my other show, the thescenesnobs podcast. You know it well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, on that show, we have a theme song. And I realized when the title card was up, we don't have a theme song for this one. So I thought it would be really nice if I sang you for Star Trek Day a theme song. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Ready? I got 2. Ready? No. It's been a long road getting from there to here. I don't know the chords for it. No, I thought that would be fun. It's such a great day. I'm filled with faith of the heart, and that's what it's all about. But that was your introduction, really. Like, we've watched Star Trek in the past, watched the movies, we've had some good times, but to really get into the lore and the franchise, the storied franchise that started 1966 on September 8th. The first voyage on screen that we got to see was NCC 1701, manned by Captain Kirk, one of my favorites. And
well, the first one we saw was manned by Pike.
Yes. First one you saw. The first one I saw. But yes, we have lots of other lore that has taken place before that fateful day in 1966, where the NCC 1701 took their 5-year mission into deep space to find new life and experience new habitats and things like that. And it's been such a joyous occasion. It's been, that's a lot of years, buddy. That's a lot of years and a big franchise, right?
Mm-hmm. It's like Doctor Who.
Yes. And actually, they're intertwined, so it's okay. That's why that poster's perfectly fine right there. Because I have my Star Trek everywhere. I even have my all my ships are out. I got my good old buddies Kirk and Spock there in the chair, in the captain's chairs. I love Star Trek, and I know you do too. You're getting into it. You have now completed Enterprise. You've started Discovery with seasons 1 and 2 because it's chronological order. We have to skip for now. And now we're on Strange New World season 1. The journey so far, what do you think? I'd like to hear your differences and the things you like or maybe disliked about those 3 shows for now.
It's been different with every show. Like, the vibe has just been different for every different show. Where it is like it's a different ship and it is the different vibes that it's giving off. Like, Pike has had a similar vibe. Spock's vibe changed a lot, and so did number 1's, I believe, from Discovery to Strange New Worlds.
Well, it has changed a lot since Strange New Worlds. I mean, because there's such a storied, long history of it, and Leonard Nimoy, of course, took over Spock in the beginning, and he did an amazing job for many, many years. all the way up until the J.J. Abrams movies. He died before the third one came out, but he was heavily featured in it. But also played by Zachary Quinto. Now we have Ethan Peck playing Spock. You've seen all of them in action. We've watched the movies, watched some of the old shows. We've watched, and we're going to rewatch all that stuff too. But now you've seen Ethan Peck as Spock. And I think you've seen the JJ movies with Zachary Quinto, right?
Yes, I have.
Which Spock do you gravitate more?
Ethan Peck.
I hate that answer for no. I think Ethan Peck's doing an amazing job. He plays a very good young Spock, but I'm sorry. It's always going to be Leonard Nimoy for me. That man in this franchise stands out more than anyone else, I think. He was the first one out of everybody who was ever on Trek, Star Trek, Shrek, of course, on Star Trek. I'm combining my words. That's why.
The U.S.S. Shrek.
The U.S.S.
No, the U.S.S. Swamp.
I like it. The U.S.S. Donkey. But for me, Leonard Nimoy has lasted so long, and you've seen him part of so many things. I can't wait to see where your view is on this once we get through. I'm going to ask this question again once we get through. So how do you feel about the live so far? Are you enjoying being live for your first time?
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of feels different.
It's exhilarating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something a little different, but you play video games and you do that stuff. So like this is talking and keeping people entertained, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, so let's get into it a little bit. We have now seen anything. We're going to talk about all things Trek. You've done a lot of research yourself on other stuff because you seem really excited about it. What show in this chronological order are you most excited to get into?
TNG, probably. Either TNG, Picard, or the next 2 seasons of Discovery. Oh wait, no, Lower Decks as well. Lower Decks. That
so
one I think
you're in for it all.
Funny. Huh? Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I really love that. And you're all about it. And one of my big things with that is as we go on, like I love that you said TNG first, and then of course you jump in, and I get it because it's so exhilarating for you to watch everything for the first time. What do you think about TOS, which we're coming up on in November?
I feel like it's going to have a super different vibe than every other show because there was, I believe, such a more CGI, almost like Renaissance before TNG and after TOS. So I feel like it's just going to have such CGI that's just going to be, it's going to take a lot to get used to, just with everything else that I've seen.
Listen, Ensign, calm down. All right? You can't jump ahead like that and use words like Renaissance and then me sitting here like, I got to go look up this word. I can't look at a dictionary anytime you say a word. Calm down.
Do you not know what a Renaissance is?
I know what a Renaissance. I'm kidding. No, of course I know what a Renaissance is. So, and I think that was amazing use of the word. So fantastic.
I only know that word uses because of the Disney animation Renaissance. Like when they switched from the old Disney animation to the new type where it's like everything's all 3D and stuff.
I would love to talk to you more about that because on another show, because that would be a lot of fun. And to talk special effects, maybe we'll even invite Joe on and talk about special effects in movies. That'd be a good time. So,
yeah,
my friend, what are you looking forward to the most in terms of characters as we go on?
Picard.
Oh wow, you jumped right in. So is it the Picard series or is it TNG or is it Picard in a whole?
Both. Picard's my favorite captain. I don't want to say by far because Pike's amazing so far, but it's going to take a lot to get up to Picard.
Now, what storylines are you looking forward to? Or are you still, because I know you've dabbled, but you haven't watched all of TNG, so it's a lot of storyline to kind of cover, and we're not even there yet because we still have to get through the rest of Strange New Worlds, then TOS, then the movies, then we're finally at TNG. With this chronological order.
But we have Lower Decks before that.
How do we have Lower Decks before?
Because if Lower Decks and Pike are there, aren't they at the same point?
That was Lower Decks takes place many, many years later. It takes place maybe about 10, 20 years before Picard took place. So we got a long way to go on that one. We got to get past Voyager, Nemesis, and I think after Nemesis we get to Lower Decks.
We also have to watch the Section 31 movie.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one.
I'm very looking forward to that.
What are some aspects like for you with Trek that you're really looking forward to exploring more? And I know it's Section 31 for me because it's always been in looming presence in most of the shows. And then once you get there and you learn about it, now that we've learned so much that Section 31 has sort of always been there, because it existed. It wasn't called Section 31, but it existed in Enterprise.
Yeah, because I can't remember who it was. It was Chief of Security, Mr. Malcolm Reed, got called in by, I believe, Section 31. Well, it wasn't called that, but at the time, I believe that's what Section 31. I believe Malcolm Reed got called in by them, like, during the mission.
Yeah, and for me, it was he got called in, Malcolm, because of his military backgrounds, was connected to that military organization. So for me, I really look forward to Section 31. But as we go on with Lower Decks, the thing I'm really looking forward to, and you'll see it because there's an episode called Lower Decks on TNG, where they only really follows like 4 cadets, not cadets, I'm sorry, they're ensigns, and like looking to get promoted to lieutenants and such. And they're working for that. But that whole episode follows their journeys. It's just 4 different lower that's how they refer to them, lower deck characters who aren't on the bridge. They aren't, so now I'm looking forward to getting into Lower Decks as well, have a comedic side to Star Trek, and maybe learn some other things because we got a lot of guest spots on that. What are you looking for?
I'm looking forward to the Borg storyline as well, like the whole Borg thing.
Oh, I can't wait to see you with the Borg, man, because when that starts up, and that starts with Picard. It starts on TNG. And it goes hard. And you did watch Picard with me while I was watching it, and so you got to see what I believe was the end. Maybe. Who knows?
You never know.
You never know.
Maybe the main bad guy of season 5 discovers the Borg, and they have to stop the Borg.
Yeah. Oh God, can you imagine it? No, they introduced the Borg into Enterprise, remember? And it was one episode, and it was the worst shoehorn of the villains ever, in my opinion. I would have preferred, because that was an episode where, and it just for everybody who's watching, if you haven't seen it, you should go check it out. But if you have seen it, it was an episode where the crew of the NX-01 Enterprise had to go back because on Earth in the Arctic, they found remains of some bodies, and they're trying to figure it out. And they had mechanical components to them, and then you find out it's the Borg, and they are now awakened, and there's a whole issue with it, and they got to kind of send them away. And by the end of the episodes, they send them all the way to the other side of the galaxy, into another galaxy.
The Delta Quadrant.
The Delta Quadrant. You're absolutely right. And they said, well, hopefully somebody, and it was a callback to say like, oh, they're from Earth. They were sent away. And that's what has created what we're going through right now, and it took them that many years, 400 years to get to us, but they're here. I thought it was shoehorned. I thought it would have been cool if we found out that the Gorn had made it to Earth in the past, and that episode was filled with the Gorn.
That would have been cool.
I just don't, because we do see the Gorn quite a bit. Like, I don't want to say quite a bit. They are very underutilized. They were not utilized really at all in the later Trek in the 80s, 90s and such. But of course, it was introduced in TOS. They had an Enterprise as well in the Mirror Universe, and they just showed up on Strange New Worlds.
The Gorn play a pretty big role in season 1 of Strange New Worlds with Noonien Singh.
Well, the lore of the Gorn. I meant introducing and having Gorn on, but you're right. Like, Noonien Singh on there, and not Khan, of course, is a descendant of his. They are, I don't know, they're like, they attacked her, and she has. And I like that they made it the Gorn, because we've seen the Borg be called in many a times. We've seen Klingons be called in many a times. We haven't really seen any Klingons on Strange New Worlds.
We have not. Like, Klingons were a big thing in Discovery. That's like probably my biggest problem with Discovery was the Klingon design. Like, it was cool. I like the designs, but like, it's not Klingon.
So now that we're
Like,
kind of getting into it, and I want to ask this again when we get on, because you haven't seen them on TOS yet. But design of the Klingon, you have seen on TNG, you've seen it elsewhere and such. What's your favorite design for the Klingons? Or maybe not your favorite, but what is a one that works in your opinion?
I like the TNG one. Like, the design that I think looks the coolest is the Discovery one, but it doesn't fit with the Klingon. Like, if they had made a new alien species, or like kind of like the Enar, but for Klingon, and they made those look like that, then that would have been really cool. But I don't think they should have made the mainstream Klingons look like that. Because
Yeah,
you know how
I
there's
get
the Enar who look a little different? Then they could have those be like Klingon.
there's so many wonderful species of on Star Trek that gets introduced that you haven't even been there yet. I can't wait for you to meet the Bajorans. There's the Cardassians. There's so many factions, so many different things, different planets that they have to go through that it's going to be really exciting for you, I think. And I think you're going to have a really good time with it. I'm really looking forward to seeing kind of like what your thoughts on as soon as they span out. And that's the one thing I really liked about the original series. Every week was a monster of the week. They were setting the tone for us, really, because they were introducing all these, like we talked about the Gorn, the Klingons, and there were so many more, but it wasn't like Klingons every episode. In fact, I think there were only like 1 or 2 episodes back in the day in that first 3 seasons. I think the Tribbles were probably in it more than the Klingons were, and they were in the same episode. But you get the feel as you kind of go on and you play into it. Like there's a lot of things that are going to be introduced that I really think you're going to enjoy.
What's your favorite storyline in like Discovery? What's your favorite Discovery storyline?
Discovery storyline, I would say probably my favorite Discovery storyline so far, because remember, we only watched the first 2 seasons, is probably, it grew on me, was the Red Angel. But not because of the Red Angel or who the Red Angel is. And I'm going to leave that because that's spoilers right now. And I want them to go watch our show or go watch the show in general. But the Red Angel being introduced, I think, really brought a lot of things together. I love that they introduced the Enterprise and Pike and Spock and Number One and everybody into it. So that way they could play a big part and pivotal role in where Discovery ends up and how Strange New Worlds kicks off. So, what about you?
My favorite was probably either Control, because I like that. I liked how they included Section 31 a lot in that.
Mm-hmm.
Or the Mycelial Network.
Oh, yeah. You know what? It's so interesting that you pick those 2 things because they're very similar in tone of what they are. So the Mycelial Network is a more natural thing, but it is very connected hive type like Control was with the AI. So it's essentially, it feels almost like
But I don't
they
know.
were
But I don't know because like the Mirror Universe was amazing in this one. I love that Mirror Universe storyline.
Yeah, you know what? I actually might jump back and say that one. That Lorca was great in it. That Mirror Universe was a lot of fun. You learned a lot of new things. And they set it up.
I mean, I know it's kind of gruesome, but like when they said the chef can serve Kelpian, no one serves it like the chef. That was funny. That was really funny.
Wow, yeah. Dude, it was so much was. So you've seen a lot of ships so far. I don't want to go over the top 5 because we're going to do 5 takeaways and a few on the badges, of course. But I would love to know what for you was what's one of your favorite ships so far? I don't want to go too deep, into, because I want to revisit this down the line. But what's your favorite ship so far? And it doesn't have to be a Starfleet ship. It doesn't have to be a human ship. It can be anything. So really, what have you seen that you liked?
So this one, I'm only picking this just because of a reference that I like. I'm gonna pick the USS Jaeger only because of Aaron Yeager from Attack on Titan.
And it's not even based on, it's based on Chuck Yeager.
It is?
Yeah, Chuck Yeager, the man who broke the sound barrier. He was the one, Chuck Yeager, and here's a good history lesson for Star Trek Day. Chuck Yeager was a test pilot, for the military back in the day, and all of the things that he and his partners and his crew did helped with space exploration. Because when we were able to break the sound barrier, that was a huge deal. We were able to deal with that, and we were able to work off of it and be able to build rockets off of it and things like that. We got the math down, but him test piloting it and making us realize that a man can withstand these things helped us to propel man to the space and the moon and so far and so on.
My great uncle Chester, he was friends with Chuck Yeager. Like, he was on the team.
Yeah, your Uncle Chester is no slouch when it comes to.
And he was a POW.
And he was POW. He did a lot of things. He helped do a lot. And I would love to do more an expose on him and like all he did, because like there's a lot of things he did. And it is cool to hear that he was friends with Chuck Yeager, who, again, would any of this like Star Trek, of course, you can always put fiction together, especially when it's space oriented. We can always imagine, and Gene Roddenberry did, and so many have continued that storyline on for so many years, But for this, I like that you picked. Well, you picked it for an anime reason, an Aaron Yeager, but the USS Yeager, Chuck Yeager, of course. I think that is a great choice. It is a cool looking ship too.
Either that or the Strange New World Enterprise. It's like what they tried to do with the Discovery, except they succeeded. Like with Discovery, It looks too modern, but with the Strange New Worlds Enterprise, it doesn't look like it was a model, and it doesn't look like it's from the 60s, but it looks like the Enterprise. It just looks so much, I think, better. It's probably the best ship design.
I disagree wholeheartedly. We'll get there. It is a beautiful ship, though. I still love that original. I still love the original.
The originals.
Yeah. It's still hands down my absolute favorite.
And it was hard for me. It was hard for me to say that I like the Strange New Worlds version better because it is so good.
Yeah.
Like that. No, I get
that. But for me, for one, when I'm watching this and I see the different ships, and like, so let me ask you a question, because there is a quiz component for you tonight, and we're going to get into that in just a few seconds. But do you know which ship? I'm going to block it here. This is.
Is it the Defiant?
It is not the Defiant. I can't wait for you to meet the Defiant. You're going to have so much fun with DS9, I think. It is the Kobayashi Maru. Do you know about the Kobayashi Maru?
Yes, I do, actually. Yes, I do. It's the one that Kirk cheated. Kirk cheated on the test.
Cheated? He cheated. He doesn't believe in no-win scenarios. I love it.
So just become so good at it that you can succeed without cheating. Please
tell me you're not going to cheat on a test in school and then tell your teacher that you don't believe in no-win scenarios. Don't do that. It's not going to work. It's actually kind of funny how they kind of changed it because when you were introduced to the idea of the Kobayashi Maru in Wrath of Khan, and they really kind of get into it, they tell him like, no, I got a commendation for that. They thought it was outside of the box thinking, and it was really well done. And like everybody really cheered him on. He became sort of legendary for doing that. And then when you go into the alternate timeline and you watch the JJ version in the Kelvin timeline, and he's up for trial because he was a cadet, they're like, you cheated. I really liked how they kind of played that and went a different realm with it.
So for the writers, so you get a new Star Trek show, Legacy. So let's say Legacy is what I call it, the G. Who would you rather have writing that show, Gene Roddenberry or Akiva Goldsman?
Wait, ask that question again, because I want to make sure that's in my head properly.
If they were to make a new show on the Enterprise G, who would you rather have writing that story, like the show? either Gene Roddenberry, J.J. Abrams, or Akiva Goldsman.
Okay. On the Kelvin timeline, if they made a show based off of that?
No, in the canon universe.
Oh, in the canon
about
universe.
the Enterprise. It's about the Enterprise G.
Oh, the Legacy show that everybody's calling for.
Yeah. Who would you want to write this? Gene Roddenberry, Akiva Goldsman, or J.J. Abrams? Or Alex Kurtzman?
Terry Matalas. He did Picard. He did Picard, and he's such a huge fan. He started on Enterprise. You've seen him. You've seen him on screen, and he started as he was coming up with him. I think he started as a writer and on Enterprise, and he by the end of that show, like he was kind of really running a lot in it. Not everything, but he was running things in his own way, helping. He became a big name within the creators,
Mm-hmm.
So when that happened, he went to he moved on up, and then he went and he helped out. Brandon Bragg, I think, was the big one who helped Seth MacFarlane with Orville, which is very, you've seen it. It's Star Trek oriented, which I think I might actually add to the end of this because I feel like it fits really well. But he took over Picard in the 3rd season, and that's why we got what we got. And that, in my opinion, it's probably the best Trek of all time, which wouldn't exist without like TNG and the rest of the history that kind of comes with it. But I think it was the best, personally.
I kind of want to see like a co-write between Terry Matalas and Akiva Goldsman because they're both so good at their craft.
Yeah, Akiva Goldsman kind of, he does write, but he oversees everything. He's like the showrunner for everything now. So, like, yes, I agree. And the game has stepped up, but I think it's because Akiva Goldsman is bringing in a lot of these old heads from the old shows.
Mm-hmm.
He saw the Seth MacFarlane way of doing it, and it works.
Mm-hmm.
What are some things about Trek you don't like?
Something that Jet Reno really fixed is there's, other than like Vulcans, there's really not just like dry wit, kind of. It's kind of like there's occasional comedy, I believe mainly in Lower Decks, even though I haven't seen it. But Jet Reno and Vulcans are really the only people that use like that type of comedy.
I think you're going to really enjoy TOS for that, because TOS, between Bones, Spock, and Kirk, they had such a great, even though everything behind the scenes, but on screen, they had such a great rapport. And especially in the movies, as it grew and they really were becoming friends, it kind of just worked. And they have a really good rapport with joking with each other. And that's the whole crew. I'm not just talking about those three, the triumvirate, but the whole crew does it. And they really become like sort of like a family where they can like make the jokes. Wait until you get to TNG. As serious as it is, you can see a lot of fun stuff in there too.
Mm-hmm.
Comedy was added, and then DS9 came around and was just like, nah, we're going to make this drab. I do love it, though. I love Sisko, and I think you're going to enjoy him, and Janeway's great as well. Now, do you want to get to our 5 takeaways of Star Trek, our favorite Star Trek badges?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it. What's your number 5 on Star Trek badges?
My number 5 has got to be the Terran. No, not the. Yeah, the Terran Universe officer badge.
Okay, I like it. All right. So what is my number 5 is the long badge that they had in like Wrath of Khan. They had it in basically the movies after that, and they showed it on a bunch of the shows. You'll see it on TNG as well, but it was like the long badge with the oval, and it had the insignia in it, and then it had they had the pip in TNG, but they had color to it and things like that for whichever department you were and things like that. So that's my number 5.
So my number 4.
I'll call it the Wrath of Khan badge, by the way. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. My number 4 is going to be the cadet thing for like Strange New Worlds and such.
Yeah, you really did like that, right? Yeah, that's cool.
I liked how it was like the normal badge with like the square with the lines behind it.
Nice. Okay, I dig that. My number 4 is the Lower Decks Delta badge. It's just kind of like sharp and black, no insignia on it or anything. I kind of like that, and it kind of resembles in a small way the black badge of Section 31. And I just think that's kind of a cool, sleek look. What you
Speaking of
got for
Section
number 3?
30, speaking of Section 31, well, my number 3 is going to be the Section 31 badge.
Really?
That was really, I really like that.
All right. I dig that. I like that a lot, actually. We haven't gotten there yet, but I've seen the badge. And for my number 3, I'm looking for it because I kind of dig it. It's an oval, but it has the emblem in it. And it's from Discovery, but in the future. You know, us knowing we're going into season 3 at the end, and then 4 and then 5. I really dug that badge when I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
What's your number 2?
The flag officer for TOS.
Okay, that's a good one. I love the captain one the most off TOS, but I do like that. I like that idea of the badge.
Where it's like the normal badge with like just like the laurel and the circle around it. I like the design.
Yeah. No, it's a great choice. I really enjoy it as well. So for me, my number 2 in this is going to be the classic. It's right there. I love it. So that's my number 2. Kirk's badge. It's near and dear. It's very simple. It's very easy. It's very elegant, and I love it. And I have I like this one too because it kind of covers it. But I got this from, and you guys can get this too, from Todd Stashwick's. He played Captain Shaw on Picard. He sells those on his site. You can go check them out. They're very cool little pins. But
My
it's in
number
it.
one.
What's your number 1?
The officer badge from Picard.
It's my number 1 too. I love the oval from TNG. It's just near and dear. You know, I think if I didn't pick number 3, what I had, I probably would have had that at my number 3. But so the 2 bars behind the insignia that's hollow, that's out of TNG. That started in TNG.
Yeah,
So
wasn't that the alternate future?
The alternate future. Well, so basically the path that they were on. So there's 3 different timelines at the last episode of TNG. And that's all I'm going to tell you. I'm not really going to get into it. But the 3 different timelines. What?
Aren't they Prime, Terran, Kelvin?
No. These are completely different. All of them are changed throughout different times. So like one takes place way in the past, one takes place in present day, one takes place all the way in the future, and they all have to kind of come together. When they get into the future, they're kind of around the time where Picard takes place. But because of the events that were happening in present day, it was affecting the past and it was affecting the future. So this future doesn't exist after that episode. But they did a special badge, and it had the had what Picard had. And I love that they kept that up, but they made it look cooler in Picard. And I really like that.
Yeah, because it's on the I had this thing that I found, and it has the alternate future one, where it's like the gold background with the it's more sharp. I don't like it as much, but it is really good. That almost made my top 5.
Well, that's our top 5 badges of Star Trek. Thanks for watching our 5 takeaways. No, let's get into it a little bit more. So I have something I want to do with you. I'm going to give you 5 trivia questions. Okay? On Star Trek. I want to see how you do. Now, there's multiple choice, so I wouldn't worry, because I know you haven't seen everything, so I don't want to just throw things at you like you know it all, okay? But I think these are fairly good questions. And if you get them right, and if you at least get more right than you get wrong, I have a very special surprise for you.
Okay.
All right, you ready? In Gene Roddenberry's original treatment for Star Trek, what was the name of the starship? Was it A, the Enterprise, B, the Yorktown, C, the Plymouth, or D, the Reliant?
I think I know this. I believe I've been told this before. I believe it's the Yorktown.
All right, final answer?
Yes.
That was it. That's right. Gene Roddenberry's original concept for Star Trek was that of Wagon Train to the Stars. Wagon Train was, of course, a very famous Western television show in the 1960s starring Ward Bond at the time, and included the starship Yorktown, plus significantly different characters from the ones we know today. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Who was the first actor to play a member of all three of the major alien races? Ready? I'm going to give you multiple choice. Leonard Nimoy, Christopher Lloyd, Mark Leonard, Jeffrey Hunter.
Can I just say, like, one of the things that I know he was in?
What?
He was the one Andorian from that thing in Enterprise. He was
Who?
the general. Not the general, but he was the dude who helped him. I can't. Shran, I believe. I believe Shran.
Well, that was Jeffrey Combs played that character. Jeffrey Hunter was the original Pike on the unaired pilot, and then later he came in for episodes of. Well, he didn't come in. Well, he kind of did. They just used old footage though. So you want me to
Who
read them
are
off
my
again?
options? Yeah.
Leonard Nimoy, Christopher Lloyd, Mark Leonard, Jeffrey Hunter.
I'm going to say Mark Leonard.
Very good. Mark Leonard, best known for his role as Sarek, Spock's father, was first actor to play a member of all three major alien races, Vulcan, Romulan in an episode Balance of Terror, and Klingon, the commander of the Klingon attack group of the beginning of Star Trek, the motion picture.
Wait, hold up. He was Sarek in Discovery?
Sarek in TNG.
Okay. Wait, TNG. There's Sarek in TNG?
Yeah, you'll see.
Okay.
He mind melds with Picard.
Wow.
So
I guess Sarek's now even smarter than he was.
This next question is going to really get you, but you got two. So you ready?
Mm-hmm.
What is Sulu's primary position of the U.S.S. Enterprise? Is it a science officer, navigator, chief engineer, or helmsman?
Mr. Sulu is a helmsman.
I think we can all say yes to that. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Which Star Trek captain? Now, if you get this wrong, I might give you a redo because you have never seen this. Okay?
Okay.
Which Star Trek captain has an artificial heart? Is it Jean-Luc Picard, Benjamin Sisko, Catherine Janeway, Jonathan Archer? I was not emphasizing any names there. I'm telling you that now.
So, I know that Picard has a whole body that's artificial. So does that count?
No. This is more towards TNG version. I'm going to give you that hint.
Okay. I'm going to say Sisko.
Sorry, buddy. I am going to give you a redo on that because you haven't watched either of those shows yet. You've seen episodes, but you haven't seen that.
Janeway.
It is Jean-Luc Picard. That's right. Jean-Luc Picard was stabbed through the heart as a young cadet, and he was saved by getting an artificial heart. And that is in the episode where Q brings him back in time and lets him change the outcome of his life and what happened, and he does not like it. So we shall see. All right. Who was the first Vulcan science officer aboard the Starship Enterprise? Was it Sarek, Spock, T'Pol, Tuvok?
Does the Starship Enterprise include the NX-01, or does it have to be NCC-1701?
It doesn't say the U.S.S. Enterprise.
So
it just says the Starship Enterprise. What's your final answer?
T'Pol.
Very good. As subcommander, serving the Vulcan High Command, T'Pol was stationed aboard the original Enterprise in April 2151 as an observer to Captain Jonathan Archer and his crew, who the High Command insisted were not ready for interstellar space exploration. After the success of Enterprise's initial mission led to the vessel being given an extended exploration mandate, T'Pol requested to stay aboard as the science officer. And T'Pol, of course, someone we love very much. You got one question out of 5 wrong. I will give you a redo to see on that question if you would like.
I want to get another question.
All right. Which species was the first to discover warp drive? Was it the Vulcans? Was it the humans? Was it the Borg? Was it the Klingons?
So if what in Enterprise is true, then it can't be the Borg, seeing as how they came from Earth. It's not humans because the Vulcans found us, and they were already they invented first contact. But and if they invented it, they made first contact with Klingons, so I'm gonna say Vulcan.
Vulcan. Final answer?
Sure.
All right. Very good, my friend. Vulcans developed warp drive capabilities around the 9th century BC, long before Klingons 9th century AD, Borg 15th century AD, and humans 21st century AD. Now, I want to tell you something. Always one that you can go back to is, if you remember the episode where the Vulcans get stranded on Earth in the 1960s from Enterprise.
Yes.
That's a good indication of who may have had warp drive beforehand. Now, Thomas, you got 5 questions, right? And I think a reward is in order. You have done, and allow me to speak for a moment, if you will. I, as captain of this show, I'm very proud to see how much you've been coming up and how much you've been learning and really taking to Star Trek. This is something I love very much, and you seem to really be enjoying it. It means a lot to me that I get to do this with you. And as we go on, you're an ensign, but not anymore. You are getting a promotion to lieutenant junior grade. I would like you to open up your desk drawer, please.
Okay. Jam. What is it? Oh my god, it's the badge.
It's the badge. You can put it on if you'd like, or you can just hold it, whatever you want to do.
I'm gonna put it on.
All right. Congratulations.
And in this episode, I'm a Vulcan, as you can see. With my
Live long and prosper. I love it.
I'm a Vulcan.
It goes on that. Remember, it goes on this side by the heart, because we have faith of the heart.
That's right.
Would you want me to get the guitar out again?
No, please,
leave
no.
Leave it. Don't do it. Okay. I love it. Congratulations on your promotion. I love doing this show with you. Ensign Tommy, no longer. You are now Lieutenant Junior Grade Tommy.
Hey.
Welcome to Starfleet, sir. Thank you. Guys, we love doing this show. And as you know, Tommy and I, we just have a really good time. And he's really taken to it, and I'm taking the rewatching everything and seeing things that I haven't seen before. Like, I haven't seen the Star Trek animated series, really. I think when I was a kid it was on, but I didn't really get into it.
Wait.
And then, there are other aspects that I've missed without Star Trek, and that new stuff that I haven't seen. So I can't wait to explore that with you as we go on this journey, which will hopefully not be 5 years, but we'll see. We'll keep going on with it. So do you have anything you'd like to say, sir?
Yeah. So if you know how ensigns, they're called first names, but
yes.
with every lieutenant that I can think of, they're called by their last name now.
They are. I'm not revealing you are young, and I'm not revealing your last name on the internet. Sound good? Okay. That is why I'm not doing it. But in private, I will call you that. How's that sound? When we talk about Star Trek. Not always. I'm not always going to remember. But I want to
just say I'm Manhattan.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Manhattan. Lieutenant Manhattan. I'm going to change it. I'm going to change it for you. You respectfully. That's right. We are the Manhattans. I don't know what I'm talking about. Lieutenant grade, junior grade Manhattan. Congratulations. I'm proud of you. You've done so much. You've taken to this. You've done a great job. I love you, buddy. Thank you for doing this with me. It's such a great journey. Before we go, and before we sign off or anything, I do want to let everybody know this is Star Trek Day. We love you guys, and thank you so much for supporting us. If you are interested, we do have merch available. We have Do You Even Trek, Bro? We have I Have Always Been and Always Shall Be Your Friend. And now we have Boldly Going over there. That's right, everybody. So if you are interested, go check out snobsmerch.com. You can use promo code TREK for 10% off your order. But thank you guys so much. Remember, if you like this video, remember to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified whenever the shows like this and other great shows are coming on. Now, before we get going, Tommy, you got anything you want to say about Star Trek or for Star Trek Day before we go?
I do. So, I'm an engineer, or am I a pilot, or am I a security officer? Like, what red am I?
Well, that is the beauty of what we do, my friend. You can choose. What what path would you take?
I don't want to be an engineer because then I'm gonna get blown up by a warp core.
That doesn't always happen.
There's a
Probably
chance
every
there's a better chance that I'm going to get blown up by a warp core if I'm an engineer than anything else. I don't want to be a security officer because then I'm going to maybe have to fight Klingons, and I don't want to fight Klingons. Maybe I'll be a doctor.
Where would you like to ultimately end up?
I want to be a fleet admiral.
Chair? You want to be a fleet admiral, though, so you got to follow the commands, my friend. You got to either come over to the yellow or the red, pending. Now, I would go helmsman. Security officer or helmsman if you're going to start that journey.
I think I want to become a helmsman.
Doctor could work. Doctor could work. A doctor on a ship is still officer, like Beverly, Bones. They've all had to take the chair, occasionally. It's not often. It's usually during emergencies, but they've had to.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to become a captain, and I'm going to find enemies. And then I'm going to be offer peace with them.
What are you?
And I'm going to say,
going hunting?
No. I'm not going to hunt them. If it's if they're the Gorn, I may fire a few photon torpedoes at them, but
all right, fair. So I do have a question for you. Before we go, I want to finish off here, and I want to ask, and I want to find out your thing. Out of all of the shows that we've watched so far, in order for warp factor fiction, so it's Enterprise, that is Discovery, and now Strange New Worlds. What's your favorite uniform out of all of those so far?
I really like the Discovery uniforms. I don't know; those grew on me.
Okay. I like it. I'd say because I'd love the yellow, the command yellow. This got to be Pike, and I love his jacket that he has for it. But I know it's going to grow into the shirt soon.
I didn't like the Enterprise ones. I didn't like
because it was more based on NASA jumpsuits, things like that.
I didn't love them.
I like the flight suit.
I did. It didn't seem like a Star Trek uniform, though. Like, it's not that I didn't like the design.
The crossover, that's the beautiful thing about the journey of it. The crossover of the fact that all they knew at the time, because that's what test pilots were. They wore flight suits, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what they were. They were test pilots. They were testing warp.
They were guinea pigs.
Well, no, I don't want to call them guinea pigs. They were willingly stepping in to do it. They loved the life. So when they were doing that, of course, like when they're getting into it and you have I'm not saying the Air Force, but similar to what the Air Force was to NASA, you have this connection, and flight suits would definitely be a uniform of choice for travel like that. They're breezy. You can move around in them. They're versatile. So it's not really like just stiff. You can actually be in action if you need to be, Mm-hmm. So it made sense. But
Who's your favorite character out of anything that we've seen in so far?
Anything we've seen together on Warp Factor Fiction, or all?
Anything we've seen in Warp Factor Fiction.
Man, it's hard. I love Archer. I mean, I love them all. Like T'Pol is great. There's every crew is special. I love Burnham. I think she's fantastic on the show. Who? You can't whisper. Saru is great, but I'm gonna have to say Pike. I love Pike. I love where Pike's going. I think he's bringing it back that we haven't seen in quite a few years. What we saw, even you saw it with Riker, but you didn't really see it with Picard, and that was the light-hearted captain. So I really like that aspect of Anson Mount's Pike, and I really enjoy kind of where they're taking it.
My favorite has to be Jet Reno.
That's great. You love that dry wit. You really do. Tig Notaro, and your mom loves her too. So I think she's funny too. I like her a lot, and I think she's a great addition to the show. It's
the reasons why Vulcans are my favorite aliens. Just because of the logic. I know Vulcans don't ever try to be funny, but they're like the funniest aliens. Why are they so funny?
They are really funny. You are right. All right, guys, we are going to get going. But before we leave, check out, we have a very special announcement right after. But check out a word from our sponsor, Entertainment Earth, where you can go to pick up great Star Trek gear. What's up, movie snobs? Are you ready to take your love of pop culture to the next level? Look no further than Entertainment Earth, your one-stop destination for all things entertainment. From rare collectibles to the latest must-have items, they've got it all. Whether you are a fan of superheroes or a sci-fi lover or a classic movie enthusiast, Entertainment Earth has the perfect treasure waiting for you. But it gets better. By clicking the affiliate link down in the description below, you'll get an exclusive discount just for you being our amazing viewer, and we thank you guys. Get 10% off if you click on the link below, and if you spend $79 or more, you get another 10% off and free shipping. Check it out. Take advantage of this because it is truly awesome. And that is it. Go down to the link below. Check out Entertainment Earth. I buy great stuff from there all the time. Picked up my Blockbuster Pop, which I love. Of course,
That
picked
is
up
amazing.
Indiana Jones. Yeah, and I picked up some of my my ships here. If you can take a quick look, you can see I have a lot of Eagle Moss ships, and I did get some things for Star Trek from, of course, Entertainment Earth. So go check them out. Tommy, your mother is watching. She loves you. Mrs. Scene Snobs on there. Lady Manhattan, as I call her. Congratulations. You deserve well-deserved promotion. You have been amazing. I love having you as a co-pilot, my number one on this ride. And I hope we can continue on to the end and keep going. I love you, buddy. Until next time, everybody, I think we're going to get going, but thank you. And honestly, next time we do a live like this, I think maybe we'll get into the video game side of it. But we'll wait until then. Thomas, you want to say anything before we get going?
Yeah, I have one question as well. Were you always a captain, or were you ever like an ensign? Because I've only ever known you as captain.
You know me as captain. We all start out down in cadet first.
I thought it was chief petty officer first.
Not on Starfleet, but I love it. All right, guys, I'm going to leave that, but he is going to finish off. Thank you again, everybody. Like we said, like, follow, subscribe, everything, the whole 9 yards. You can catch us on any podcast platform with Warp Factor Fiction, or you can catch us here as video, but everything comes out first on our Patreon. Go check it out. We have other exclusive stuffs there. If you want to go to snobsmerch.com and check out some of our Star Trek themed gear or other stuff, we have great stuff, movie inspired, TV inspired, the whole 9 yards. Tommy, you want to say anything before we get going, buddy?
You know, you got to live long and prosper.
Going to set it better myself. Take care, everybody. You have a great night. Happy Friday. Happy Star Trek Day. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Dude, Tommy, you did so awesome. Oh, wait, I'm still live. Goodbye, everybody.